Okay, so today we are going to deal, so that is classification of microorganisms. Here, the classification of microorganisms. Here, the classification of microorganisms is very important because here the so many different kinds of microorganisms are there, so they can produce different kinds of diseases. Okay, so you are not going to classify, so that is classified means we don't know which organism is causing a particular disease. Okay, for that reason the classification is very important. Okay, so prevention and treatment of a particular diseases, as well as taking a preventive measures against a particular, so that it is causing agent. Okay, so for that reason the classification is very important. Here the microbes needs also some of the growth factors like a, so therefore so moisture, so they need pH level, and also that is carbon dioxide, so that light, and also some of the organisms are there, so they can grow options of, so the oxygen, and some of organisms needs carbon dioxide for, so survival. Okay, so depending upon, so the different different characteristics were classified into different types. Okay, so let us see one by one detail. Okay, so about the general classification of microorganisms. Here, now about the general classification of microorganisms. Here the microorganisms are classified into 5 types in generally. Here, the first one is bacteria. The study about the bacteria is called as bacteriology. The Robert Koch is considered father of bacteriology. Now come to the viruses. Here the study of the virus is called as virology. Parasitology, we have the parasites. The study of the parasites is considered as a parasitology or parasites. Then fungi. The study about the fungi would be called as, so that is mycology. The last one is algae. The study of the algae is called as in phycology. Okay, so this is general classification of microorganisms. Here, generally microorganisms are classified into 5 types: the bacteria, viruses, parasites, the fungi, and the algae. Oh yeah. Okay, then now come to the second classification. So according to the temperature requirement, according to the nutritional factors like the temperature, classification, the microbes are classified into the 3 types. One is psychrophilic, the mesophilic, and thermophilic. Here the psychro, the word psychro is nothing but it is a cold. The cold living organisms are called as psychrophilic microorganisms, or psychrophilic the microbes. So these kind of microorganisms, they survive or lives so the below 15 degrees Celsius. Okay, so depending upon the temperature, the need is a cold temperature. For that reason is called as psychrophilic, so the microorganisms are microbes. Now come to the mesophilic microorganisms. The meso is nothing but normal. Okay, so this kind of microorganisms needs so the normal temperature as human being needs. Okay, so this much temperature they need. For that reason, those microorganisms are considered as mesophilic microorganisms. Okay, so that is 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. So almost all disease causing agents, so their growth takes place in the mesophilic temperature. Now come to the thermophilic temperature. Here the thermo means heat. The heat loving microorganisms. Okay, so these kind of microorganisms, they will grow. They survive in the high temperature. Okay, so those kind of organisms are microbes we call as thermophilic microorganisms, are heat loving microorganisms. Okay, so this is the classification according to the temperature requirement. Now come to the, so that is third classification according to the size and shape. Here, the depending upon the size and shape, so the microbes are divided into, so there is the 4 types. The first one is cocaine. The cocaine is nothing but it's a round or a spherical or a round or circular or a spherical in shape. Okay, so those kind of the microbes we call as cocaine. Now come to things, so bacilli. With a rod shaped, so the microbes are considered as a bacilli. Spirochetes. Okay, so this kind of microorganisms, they appears like so the coil-like structures, like spirogonids. The last classification is comma-shaped the microorganisms. For example, Vibrio cholera. Okay, so this kind of microorganisms is considered as a comma-shaped microorganisms. Okay, so this different 4 types depending upon the size. Here, the depending the size and shape of the microorganisms, it is classified into 4 types. The first one is cocaine, bacilli, spirochetes or spirals, and the comma-shaped microorganisms. Right. Now come to the The one more simple classification is according to the use. According to the importance, according to the use class, the microorganisms are classified into the two types. One is useful microorganisms and the other is harmful microorganisms. The useful microorganisms means these organisms are very essential to human beings. Okay, so for food, for converting the milk into a curd, so the microorganisms is very important. The lactobacilli is very important. Okay, so these kind of the microorganisms are considered useful microorganisms. We are preparing antibiotics, we are preparing the vaccines by taking so that is microorganisms only. Okay, so these kind of microorganisms were considered as useful microorganisms. Next one is harmful microorganisms. Okay, so this kind of microorganisms, they can cause different diseases to the human beings. For that reason, it harm to the individuals, it harm to the human beings, it causes different diseases to the human beings. For that reason, this kind of organisms or microbes is considered as a harmful microorganisms. Okay, so this is regarding to the clear cut. So that is a classification of microorganisms according to the so that is useful or harmful. Here the one more classification is there, so that is the microorganisms are classified into, so that is depending upon their oxygen requirement, anaerobic and anaerobic. Okay, so this is regarding to the what, so the classification of microorganisms, right.